History is filled with stories of resilience, and none are more powerful than the story of enslaved people who lived and labored on plantations. Their days were long, harsh, and unforgiving. Food was scarce, rations were meager, and hunger was constant. Yet despite these hardships, they found ways to survive, drawing strength from creativity, tradition, and resourcefulness. Today we will look at 15 survival foods that kept enslaved men, women, and children alive. Foods that tell a story of struggle, endurance, and hope. 1. Cornmeal. Cornmeal was the foundation of the enslaved diet. It was cheap, easy to store, and always available. From this single ingredient, they made porridge known as mush, boiled dumplings, and simple breads. While it lacked variety, cornmeal was filling. For many enslaved families, it was the food that kept them alive from one exhausting day to the next. 1.
2,
Molasses. Molasses, a thick byproduct of sugarcane, was one of the few sweet things enslaved people ever tasted. Plantation owners considered it waste, but to the enslaved, it was a rare luxury. A spoonful of molasses poured over cornbread or stirred into porridge brought both energy and a brief moment of comfort in a world that offered very little sweetness. 3. Fatback, the fatty fatback, the fatty fat, less desirable part of the pig, was another common ration. Plantation owners saved the best cuts of meat for themselves, leaving enslaved people with what was left. Despite being greasy and tough, fatback provided vital calories and protein. It was often fried or boiled with greens, transforming scraps into something nourishing. 4. Salted fish. Salted fish was inexpensive, easy to transport, and lasted a long time without spoiling. It became a regular part of enslaved rations. Though it was often dry and overly salty, it added flavor to otherwise bland meals. For many, a small piece of salted fish boiled with vegetables was the closest thing to a proper meal. 5. Peas and beans. Whenever they were allowed a small garden plot, enslaved families grew peas and beans. These crops were dependable and provided much-needed protein. Beans could be boiled into hearty stews or eaten alongside cornbread. For many, these humble legumes represented both survival and a sense of independence because they were foods they grew with their own hands. 6. Rice. In certain regions, rice was central to the enslaved diet. Many Africans brought to America came from rice-growing cultures, carrying with them centuries of knowledge. This skill made plantations profitable, but it also gave enslaved people the ability to cultivate rice for themselves. Rice was filling, versatile, and often reminded them of their distant homelands. 7. Sweet potatoes. Sweet potatoes were abundant on plantations. They were easy to grow and could be roasted in hot ashes, boiled into soups, or mashed for children. Their natural sweetness made them a favorite, and their vitamins provided strength for long days in the fields. In the harsh reality of slavery, sweet potatoes brought both nourishment and comfort. 8. Okra. Okra was another food with deep African roots. Enslaved people grew it in small patches, using it in soups and stews. Its thickening qualities helped stretch a meal to feed more mouths. For many, okra carried cultural memory. It was a direct connection to Africa, and eating it was a way of holding on to identity. 9. Greens. Greens like collard, mustard, and turnip leaves became staples. Sometimes they were foraged from the wild, other times grown in gardens. Greens were simmered for hours with bits of fatback, creating filling stews rich in vitamins. These dishes not only provided nourishment, but also laid the foundation for what would later become soul food. 10. Cornbread. Cornbread was one of the most common foods eaten by the enslaved. Made from cornmeal, water, and sometimes molasses, it was eaten with almost every meal. Though simple, it was filling and versatile. Cornbread could be baked, fried, or cooked on hot stones, an everyday survival food that turned basic rations into something more sustaining. 11. Hominy. Hominy, made by soaking corn in an alkali solution, added variety to the diet. It could be boiled into soups or eaten as porridge. Though plain, hominy was important because it prevented certain nutrient deficiencies, making it another vital survival food. 12. Sorghum. Sorghum, a tall grain crop, was grown widely in the South. It served as both a sweetener and a food source. Slaves used sorghum syrup in place of sugar, and the grain itself could be ground into meal. Tough but dependable, it was one more way to survive. 13. Groundnuts, peanuts. Peanuts, originally from Africa, were familiar to many enslaved people. They roasted them, boiled them, or added them to stews. Peanuts provided fats, protein, and a sense of home, a reminder of flavors carried across the ocean. 14. Wild game and fish. Whenever possible, enslaved people hunted or fished to supplement their rations. Rabbits, possums, raccoons, and fish caught in rivers all added variety to their limited diet. These small victories were risky, but brought both nourishment and a sense of dignity. 15. Forage fruits and herbs. Beyond the plantation fields, enslaved people gathered wild berries, nuts, and medicinal herbs. These not only provided extra food, but also natural remedies for illness. Knowledge of plants was passed down through generations, keeping cultural traditions alive while also ensuring survival. These 15 survival foods were never just meals. They were symbols of resilience. They tell us how enslaved people endured unimaginable hardships, turning scraps into nourishment and hunger into hope. Their creativity and strength laid the foundation for much of Southern cuisine we know today. But more importantly, they remind us of human perseverance in the darkest of times. If you found this journey through history meaningful, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and join us again as we uncover more hidden stories from the past.